One last dance as a wife. It was 9 p.m. when Bill finally made up his mind and walked up the stairs to the bedroom. Anna, his gorgeous 26-year-old wife, was getting ready to go out with her girlfriends. He hadn't been happy when she went out with them last Friday, but he couldn't and wouldn't accept it as part of the new weekly routine. She saw the look on his face and said, "You're not going to freak out over this, are you?" He nodded at the tiny dress spread out on the bed. She was wearing sexy blue lingerie and looked stunning in it. He hadn't seen this before. She looked a little embarrassed. "Well, yeah, I bought them just this week." He thought for a second and went to the bathroom, returning with her underwear from the laundry basket. "This is normal for a husband." He pointed to a very plain, unremarkable set of bra and panties. He held up a pair of panties in his hand. "You're happy buying this," he said. He pointed to a tiny blue bra and a lace thong to match, barely concealing her charms for the sake of some men you've never even met before. He stared at her, waiting for a response. Unless he paused meaningfully, unless it's just another night out with the girls on a hunting trip, maybe you actually arranged to meet someone there, like on a date. He tilted his head to the side as she stared at him incredulously. "No, there's no one else. How could you even think that?" I think she was angry. "I might be wrong, but I know more about your girlfriends than you probably realize," he replied. "One single, 2 divorced, and then you, so that's the complete package. Do you really expect me to believe that when they're looking for casual sex, they won't try to bring you down to their level? How dare you judge them?" "I'm not judging them," he replied calmly. "They are free to make their own choices, just as you are." She looked at him suspiciously. "So you're telling me not to go? How can you call that a choice? I didn't tell you not to go. I just made it clear that I thought it was inappropriate behavior for a married woman, and that your friend was dragging you into situations that—" She got angry and said, "Are you seriously suggesting that my going out with my friends could jeopardize our marriage?" He replied, "Don't be so insecure. I'll always come to your house. Why are you so worried?" "I'm worried because you're the most beautiful woman I know. You go clubbing with single girls. I don't. On top of that, there are the horny men and alcohol, which is a sure path to trouble," he continued, raising his hand to prevent her from interrupting our marriage, "which is already in jeopardy because you think that this near nakedness is something your husband should just accept without question. Well, it's too late now. I promised to meet them at 10, and you're going to make me late by keeping this up." She went back to her makeup. He decided to make one last attempt. "You also promised to respect your husband," he remarked. "Riley, you seem comfortable enough to ignore that promise, or are your girlfriend's feelings more important to you than mine? What on earth has gotten into you? Don't you trust me?" She snapped at me. "I'm going out for drinks with the girls, that's all. Now for God's sake, leave me alone." He took a deep breath. "The thing is, I want to trust you, but I refuse to sit at home every Friday night wondering if you're going to take another step tonight and end up accidentally sleeping with some guy. Against the wall, I would never do that." She just stared at him, at a loss for words. He continued, sounding angry. "If you want to go dancing, invite me along. If you just want to rub up against strangers, then be honest. We can end this right now. You're just being insulting." She attacked him. "I'm being honest. I don't believe you're not a dirty dancing and kissing lover who's looking for illicit affection or worse. Quick sex, I'm willing to. I believe you haven't slept with anyone yet. But that's the choice I'm offering you. Go or stay. It's up to you. But remember that I have a choice too. If you leave, you can go out as much as you want. I won't be here when you get back." He said it. He'd given her every opportunity to understand his concerns, to hear his desire to fix their marriage. Now she had a choice, him or them. She was as angry as he'd never in the 4 years they'd been together. He'd never seen her dress like her friends or go out drinking and dancing with them every Friday night. "That's fine," he said quietly. "I'm just telling you that the prospect of sitting around waiting is not how I see my future." He headed for the door. "I have things to do. I'll be downstairs when you've made your decision." She sat in front of the mirror, thinking. She hadn't had sex. Well, not really. She'd been really tempted last week and she'd made nice to a guy in consolation, but that was all. She liked the way men looked at her on the dance floor. It made her feel more desirable. Bill always complimented her on the way she looked, but he had to. He was her husband. The guys at the club, on the other hand, they wanted and lusted after her. Bill sat at his laptop filling out an online form. It was a 4 to 10. He came downstairs and looked at her. Was she staying or going? She was wearing high heels showing off long, slender legs disappearing into a short, tight blue dress. He didn't say anything. Was she going to take him up on his offer to let her husband take her to the dance, or did she intend to go dancing with her friends? She still looked hesitant, then spoke. "I'm leaving. We can talk tomorrow." He shook his head slowly and turned back to his computer. She stood for a moment, unsure if he was bluffing. He didn't even hear the front door close as she left. She went upstairs and threw some clothes into a couple of suitcases. On Monday, she would tell her boss that she had accepted the job he had offered her in Dubai. She hailed a cab and sent a message to her family group while she waited. On WhatsApp, "Hi everyone. I'm sorry you have to find out like this, but Anna has made it clear that she needs more excitement and variety in her life than I can provide. I've emailed her a link to our divorce filing. It has been an honor to be a part of your family, but I hope you can understand why I've decided not to stay in touch with all of you from now on." The printer took a sheet of paper from the output tray and wrote something at the bottom. He stuck it on top of their wedding picture above the fireplace, then turned off his phone and went outside to wait for his cab. Anna had just sat down at a table at the club and was chatting with Gail when her phone rang. "If this is Bill, begging me to come home, I'm not coming," she said irritably. Disappearing to the club, Karen yelled, "At my friend's request. Why does Bill know? I'm out with my girlfriend, so what's the big deal? Was he happy about it?" Karen seemed angry, but then again, she's always had a soft spot for Bill. "Well, he wasn't happy about it, but I told him we'd talk tomorrow. Good luck with that." "He dumped you." Gail watched, stunned, as Anna frantically tried to open the email app on her phone. Even in the dim lighting of the nightclub, she could see that her friend had gone noticeably pale. It was Anna who noticed the WhatsApp message to her family. That must have been the reason for Karen's call. Then her phone rang again. Thank goodness it was Bill. No, it was her father. "What did you say to Bill?" She demanded an answer from her father. "The guy was treating you like a queen, and you wanted more." "I didn't, Dad. I just felt trapped. I just needed one night a week to be myself." "What are you doing in a nightclub? Your husband just left you and you're going to clubs?" he asked incredulously. Her father was clearly furious. He never swore like that in front of his family. What could she say? She was in a club. It was obvious from the background noise. "No, Dad, he must have decided. Something happened after I left. Dad." He hung up. Anna grabbed her bag and phone and hurried to the exit, completely ignoring Gail and not noticing her other two friends as she passed them on the street. She found a cab and was home in 15 minutes. On the way out, she tried to call her husband, but his phone just went to voicemail. The house was quiet and deserted. She kicked off her shoes and ran upstairs. Most of his clothes and his shaving kit were gone. She went downstairs and saw that his phone, laptop, and wallet were gone. She went upstairs again and saw that his passport was gone too. He'd warned her that if she left that night, she'd come home to an empty house. She knew he hated lies and that he put honesty above everything else. He'd been betrayed by a girl in the past. She walked downstairs and was completely lost. An hour ago, she had been married. They were separated in less than a year. She would be divorced for going dancing. Then she saw the picture above the fireplace. Something was wrong when she saw what it did. She almost threw up. It was a picture from someone's social media site. It showed a young man on his knee proposing to his girlfriend, but there in the background was Anna making out with some guy. He was groping her breasts at the bottom. She was in a black dress. Letters Bill had written. What happens next? Bill goes overseas and Anna gets the freedom she dreamed of. Then, there's Anna's abortion and subsequent childlessness. 6 months later, Bill gets married to a lovely Australian woman he met while kayaking in Dubai. Those stories are separate and may or may not be written, but Bill and Anna's story ends there.